Hello everybody. Anyway, listen, this is just going to be a quick video on replacing the sear in the Browning high power. What I have here is a cylinder and slide match sear to go with my cylinder and slide match hammer. We're showing clear, so I want to get that right out of the way. We are clear, there is nothing in the pistol, completely and utterly clear. That being said, I am going to remove the slide. This is for replacement and regular maintenance of a sear that could be worn, hypothetically speaking. So, we will lock back the slide. We get into the second notch over here. We will push up. We'll push the retaining button for the slide lock out. We'll raise it up, and we will remove that. We'll put that aside here. That's aside. Now we'll remove the slide. Slide is off. We have the frame. Slide will be put aside for the moment. Okay. Now, let me get into this over here. Okay. There's your sear. This is actually an EWS sear. And it's an okay sear, but I had to build this area up right over here. I didn't like it because I actually built it up with like an epoxy so I could get the proper trigger positioning and reset that I wanted. But that's not the point of this. What we're going to do right now is we're going to remove this sear. We're going to take our bench block. We're going to set ourselves up right over here like that. And then we are going to get our punch. Oh, sorry. First thing we have to do, I got to back up a little. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take my grips off. We will remove the grips and place them aside. That should be one. I do have O-rings inside of the screws over here, so it partially retains and it acts as a washer so the screws don't back themselves up under recoil. I'm going to put those aside. That's one. Flip it over, take the other one off. And you wiggle that out because I don't want the screw to come with it. Put my screwdriver back on the other side. Put that aside. That's done. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to flip her over, get the bench block. We're going to drive out the sear retaining pin. This is when you need 3 hands, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. We have that in position. You take your brass hammer and drive her through. Before I do, I'm going to lower the hammer so I don't have a dramatic swing forward with the hammer, because you don't want that to come back at you and, you know, give you a whack or cause stuff to fly. So I'm going to kind of hold one finger in on the sear to stop everything from flying forward, and I'm going to let the pin drop into the block. And I'm going to kind of catch the hammer at the same time so it doesn't spring forward too much. I've heard my pin go forward. So now the only thing retaining everything is the punch. My pin's underneath. I'm going to put that aside so it's safe. Now I can remove all this business. I don't need the block right now. Hold my finger over the old sear in the hammer. Index finger over the hammer. Middle finger. There's more than one use for a middle finger, people. Kind of take the tension off of everything and retain that, because that's going to spring the sear on the sear spring forward when I pull this out. Work it out. Let the tension off. Here's the sear. So I got a bit of extra lube in there. So I'm going to wipe it off because I did put some Armorer's grease on that. And I had it really good. I think I was down to a consistent 5.5 pound smooth trigger pull. And that might sound heavy to a lot of people, but with a high power, that's actually really good. So here, you can notice that I polished this area in here. And I'll also show you the sear spring when I take that out, that I polished that also. So to take the tension off my sear spring, to get it out of this little recess in the back, as you can see, the sear spring sits in a recess. I'm going to draw back the tension. And I'm just going to take the sear spring out like so, and let my ejector, kind of swing down and gently bring the hammer forward. Now this is a cylinder and slide commander style no bite hammer that I already installed, and I finally got the cylinder and slide matched sear to go with it. We're going to see how that goes, and I'll tell you the reason why I did that in a second. Let me wipe off the extra sear grease, and you can see I polished this area over here. That rests up against, when it sits in the pistol like so, this rests on the back like that. That's your relation. So this actually helped with minimizing any grit. No materials taken off, but it actually just helped when this disengaged and re-engaged. It had a nice smooth bearing surface, which it did have a nice crisp break. Nice smooth crisp break, but high powers are a different kind of an animal, and there's nothing really you can do. There's only so much you can do. It's design limitations, but there are different points, and I can go over that in other videos some other time. But right now, let me stay on point. Let me get the new sear, and I'm not going to polish it right now. I'm going to put it together. I'm going to see how it goes. Brand new cylinder and side sear. I may polish the back depending upon how the trigger break is afterwards. Main reason why I'm changing it out is there's a pad, a point where this, when you see this goes up and down, there's your trigger bar that actuates a lever that moves up and down, and that lever moves back to this point and makes contact here. And if you have too much play in there, you're going to have a sloppy trigger. And this, on the other sear, wasn't... I built this up a little bit more, as you can see. Let me try to put them side by side. All right, come on, Thumbelina. I artificially built it up, which is okay. It's working, but if I go like this, you can see that the cylinder and slide one, which is, it has a little more meat. Come on, stay there, would you? Get over there. Can I do this? Can I do it? It's like a balancing act. Right in this area. There's a little more meat on that pad, which is going to help me take up and adjust the slack on the take back before I get to my wall. What that'll do is when I release the trigger for the reset and I start coming back, drawing back for the wall, if this has enough meat on it, well, that will do is that should give me a nice short crisp wall. It'll get me right to the wall quicker. It'll take out that play coming back, and then I'll be right at the wall so I can get a clean, precise, predictable break. We're going to see about that in a minute. This one worked pretty good after my little build up on it, but not quite great enough. So anyway, let's put this back together. First thing you're going to want to do is bring up your extractor, and then you take your extractor pin, which you put aside. This one looks like it's unidirectional because it's got a beveled end on both sides. I'm sorry. Oh, this side has more of a bevel. Look for the bevel. Always put the bevel in. Just get it started to hold your extractor so it doesn't swing back down. All right. Then you can bring back your hammer. Hold it with your hand. I have a 26-pound mainspring on this, so it makes it a lot easier than the regular one. Make sure you don't have any protrusion right over here, because otherwise you're not going to be able to get your sear in. Take your sear spring first. You're going to have to reinsert that, and you're going to have to get this circular retaining portion back into this area right over here. And that has to sit flush. You kind of feed that down, manipulate it with your fingers, and you kind of let it drop into place there. Then you can kind of bring your hammer forward, and as you can see, well, it's not quite in there yet. It takes a little manipulating sometimes. Okay, that's the way it's supposed to look. And in the meantime, I pushed my sear pin almost all the way in again, but I can help that back with the punch. Okay, so now I'm in this position. So now I got that. Now I'm holding everything back with my fingers. I got my sear pin in the right position. I have my sear spring positioned correctly, as you can see down here. Now I'm going to take my new sear, and I'm going to hold it like so. And then I'm going to place it in. They say, oh, you just drop it in. Nothing ever just drops in. So we will see how well this works right out of the box with the cylinder and slide. That's going right in there. Okay. You can pull back. You can actually push this pin in with your finger or your thumb. Pull back, take the tension off, then push down on the bottom of the sear now that I've got it started in. And you can push that all the way in like that. So you can see it's in. The sear is installed. Okay? But to make sure, this has to be flush. The pin has to be flush with the bottom of this rail underneath. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get your slide back on. So we're just going to give it just a little help. I'm going to flush it up. You can go a little beyond. Just a little beyond, because the other side is still going to be a little recessed. Okay. That's done. It's fine over there. You got no drag. Your slide can go on. So now I'm going to give it an initial test. That's a nice tight fit. There's no movement there. There's no movement at all. I got good safety engagement. Now it's off. That's your pre-cock. Half cock rather. And pull it back again. That's full cock. Now you can push down in here. That's where the lever would push to set it off, to fire it. But I'm going to push on the bottom to get more leverage. Goes forward. Half cock. Full cock. Safety. There is zero movement. That's what you want. You've got no movement whatsoever. Now, I don't have a secondary surface. I'm going to show you the other one for example. What you can do is you can put like a secondary surface. It's almost like a slight angle on the bottom of the sear. Some people do that to get a cleaner break. I did do that on this sear ever so slightly. I don't think you'll be able to see it, but right on the bottom edge. Like, I don't recommend unless you're qualified to do any sear adjusting. But anyhow, that's the cylinder and slide sear fully installed. Now let me put the block aside. I'm going to put the slide back on and see what we got. We will see what we got. Bring this all back there. Now I'm going to put the slide stop back in. Okay. Okay, safety on. Nothing. Safety off. Bracket. That's my reset. Let's see. It does have a nice break to it. Let me see my reset. But it's got that extra take up that I don't like. It's got a nice break, but you see, I'll bring it all the way up just like that. Let me go to the wall right here. Wall, break. Let me come out with it. Out, out, out. There's my reset. Now I'm going to see how far I have to draw back on this. You see? That's what I try to eliminate. Now I've eliminated that with the other sear, but the break on this is actually very nice. I feel a little hesitation in the trigger bar. But that's minor adjustments. Right? It does have a nice break. Let me see now. As far as trigger pull, let me grab my gauge really quick and I will check her out. Okay, and then we have the good old Wheeler manual trigger pull gauge. So we're cocked. I'm going to hold my finger over because I don't want to slide up this curved trigger. I am not breaking the trigger with my finger. I'm going to bring this back to the wall and just hold it here just so I can get a good pull on it. Wow. Okay, that's like 4.5 pound break. Let me try it again. I'll do 3 or 4. The second one. That's like 4 3/4 pounds. Try it again. It does have a nice break. So yeah, see, now I'm getting about a 4.5 pound pull. So I actually, by using this sear, I dropped a whole 1/2 pound for good measure. And this is the EWS sear, I believe. Let me see. EWS sear. Anyhow, that's immaterial. This cylinder and slide sear is machine matched for the cylinder and slide hammer that's in here. Let me take one more trigger pull, see where I'm at. Okay, there you go. Ooh, let me get this up. Stay up there. You ready? Here we go. Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's 4 3/4. I know I said one more, but I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna try to go slow on it and see what I get. Give it a nice. Yeah, I can say honestly, if you pull it correctly, that's what I'm getting. 4.5 pounds. So I can make an adjustment on the trigger bar area, but I'm telling you right now, this is it's got a nice pull. I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to take out the trigger bar and I'm going to swap it over for, I have a brand new Browning high power trigger bar, and I'm going to put this in and I'm going to see what happens with my actual trigger play, because on my, when I fire now and I go back for the reset by holding back, this is where I'm at. My reset is right there. Now if I didn't adjust my trigger bar, it would go out that much more. Sometimes they literally go all the way out. Let me rack it again just to show the where it has to come back to the wall to actually hit the wall and fire after the reset. That's the reset. All right. Now, how far back do I have to go? You see, that's probably just typical. But then there's your break. I can try to adjust that because I really like that break, because when it's just that play that I was trying to eliminate. But the trigger break and the trigger weight, it's a vast improvement. When I first got this pistol, I was literally in the lockup. The lockup in the sear, it's 100%. There's absolutely zero play in it whatsoever. The trigger pull weight was actually 8 pounds when I first got this pistol. Now, you saw it, I've got 4.5 pounds. So, you can drop 3.5 pounds off the trigger. Why not? Why not? So, there it is. The last thing I would do is put the grips on, but you don't need to see that. And I hope you got something out of this quick tutorial. And I hope to see you all again real soon. Thanks again for tuning in. And like I said, this is for educational and maintenance purposes. If you had a bad sear, that's how you repair it. Anyway, once again, thank you very much for all your support. I just hit 1,000 subscribers. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. This is, like I said, a hobby for me, and I also do it the motivation is to help people, help them and help educate them, and just share my knowledge so they can enjoy their hobby that much more, and save a few dollars. It's an expensive hobby, and the more the community helps each other out, the better off we are. And if you could please like and subscribe and give me the thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. It does help. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Take care all. See you later.